Ethan Fisher had always been a devoted husband and father, but recently something was wrong. For weeks, he'd been having vivid, disturbing nightmares that felt far too real. It was as if his mind was slowly unraveling. His wife, Sarah, began to notice strange behavior. Ethan would wake up in the middle of the night, standing in the hallway, staring blankly, mumbling incoherently. Sometimes he'd be walking through the house without even realizing it, his eyes vacant, his movements jerky and uncoordinated. She was concerned, but he brushed it off as stress. As the sleepwalking episodes grew more frequent, Sarah became increasingly worried. "Ethan, you were sleepwalking again," she would say, her voice trembling. He always shrugged it off, insisting it was nothing. But deep down, he was afraid. Something was happening to him, something he couldn't control. One night, everything changed. Ethan woke up in the middle of the hallway, drenched in sweat. His head felt foggy, and his body moved on its own, as if someone else was pulling the strings. He tried to fight it, but his legs carried him forward, down the hall. He reached Lily's room. She was only 7, curled up in her bed, completely unaware of the danger approaching. Ethan stood over her, his hands shaking uncontrollably as he reached down. Before he could think, they closed around her throat. Her little body went limp, and a cold emptiness washed over him. He stumbled away, his body still moving against his will, drawn toward Mark's room. Mark, his 12-year-old son, was sleeping soundly. When he saw his father at the door, he woke with a start. "Dad," Mark whispered, his voice full of confusion and fear. But Ethan didn't answer. His hands, cold and mechanical, reached for Mark. He tried to push them away, but it was too late. Ethan's grip tightened, and Mark fell still, his life snuffed out in an instant. Ethan's body moved again, dragging him down the hall to the final room, his and Sarah's bedroom. She stood at the door, her face pale with terror as she saw the blood on his hands. "Ethan," she whispered, stepping back in shock, her eyes pleading. "What did you do?" She reached for him, trying to shake him awake, but it was too late. Ethan's hands closed around her throat, and in seconds she was gone. The next morning, Ethan woke up on the cold floor of the hallway, his mind foggy, his heart pounding. The house was silent, still. His eyes fell on the lifeless bodies of his wife and children, scattered throughout the house. Lily, Mark, Sarah, they were all gone. His hands were covered in their blood. A sickening wave of realization hit him. His mind scrambled to piece together the fragments of the night before. He remembered the hollow emptiness, the cold detachment, but it felt like a distant nightmare. Sarah's last words echoed in his mind. "Wake up, Ethan. Please wake up." But it was too late. The nightmare had become his reality, and there was no coming back from the darkness.